My name is Christine Javiscus, and I am Associate Curator of European Art at the Zimmerli Art Museum. And our current installation of European graphic arts is on the theme of World War I to commemorate the anniversary of the war's outbreak in July 1914. The Zimmerli actually has a huge collection of work from this time period showcasing different aspects of the war. And it's probably a subject not so associated with the Zimmerli's French art collection, which is better known for work from the 1890s, big colorful posters, and other prints that document the nightlife and social aspects of Paris in the 1890s. However, many of these artists who we do associate with that period, such as Théophile Steinlen, continued their careers into the 20th century, and as artists who contributed greatly to illustrated journals and documenting current events, the war was an obvious subject for them to turn to in 1914. And so many of these works are by artists that perhaps are better known for their more fun types of subjects, but they actually saw themselves as journalists and documenters of aspects of contemporary life. And so the war obviously fits into that category in a big way. The outbreak of the war in 1914 led to basically an unprecedented mobilization of troops. It was considered one of the first modern wars in terms of the technology that was used. It was the first significant use of airplanes in warfare. It was the first significant use of hand grenades. Obviously, many of us are familiar with the trench warfare. It was the first war where soldiers wore uniforms with camouflage, and artists were actually commissioned to create camouflage. It was a war where the power of the image was very acknowledged, and so artists were often assigned to accompany different military units to be at the front and document the war. And many artists worked in their government's propaganda offices in order to make sure that there was support throughout the nation for the war effort, which many thought was going to be a very quick effort, and then of course it dragged into a 4-year conflict that involved all of the European powers. The works that I want to start with are this group of 4 prints by the artist Herman Paul. Herman Paul is one of these artists who's best known for his satirical drawings that were then published in illustrated journals, so he had a mass audience. But he also made more limited edition works such as these. Curiously, he's best known as an artist who worked in lithography, but here he's made a series of limited edition woodcuts. And the title of this, translated, is The 4 Seasons of Culture. Herman Paul, in his work leading up to the First World War, was actually very anti-military. Many of his works were satires or caricatures of the military establishment in France, but once France found itself in a conflict with Germany, he totally had an about-face, and his work was very pro-France, anti-German, and very supportive of the war effort. There was deep animosity toward Germany that dated back to France's defeat in the Franco-Prussian War in 1870, 1871. In that war, not only was France defeated, but it had to cede the Alsace-Lorraine regions in eastern France back to German control, and that was very humiliating for the French. And they spent many of the next years building up their military establishment to be prepared for such a conflict and to avoid such defeat again. In this group of prints, which dates from 1915, Herman Paul uses, as I said, woodcut. These are colored with stencils. And it's an interesting choice because woodcut is so associated with German art, with the great artist Albrecht Dürer, the father of woodcut mastery. And so surely that choice plays into Herman Paul's interest in subverting German examples. All of these prints show disrespect for life, disrespect for property, and obviously show the German soldiers as the villains in all of these works. Another artist who is well represented in the exhibition is Théophile Steinlen. Many of you are probably familiar with our famous Chat Noir poster, which he also created in 1896. However, he actually made hundreds of prints following the war effort. He created and published several portfolios of prints for each year of the war, as well as contributing a number of posters to the war effort. Beginning in around 1895 and throughout the rest of his career, Steinlen became a socialist and very supportive of socialist causes. And so many of his works depict the poor, depict sort of the disenfranchised, and his war imagery also follows this particular interest. Many of his works depict refugees, and the posters that are on view are advertising for relief efforts that were needed during the war. One of them to raise money for Belgium, which was so desperately suffered very early in the war when German troops invaded Belgium as a way to get through to France. Belgium at that time did not have the agriculture to support its population, and so it actually imported about 60% of its food. So almost immediately there was a food shortage, and Steinlen created a poster that was part of this relief effort to raise money to send food to Belgium. And another poster that he created was for Serbia Day, which was specifically to raise money for the Serbian refugees who had arrived in various allied nations once their country had been invaded. The works that are on view primarily do not depict battles. It seems that because unlike World War II, World War I was fought sort of out in the country, in the trenches. There was really not anything going on in the cities, like as we think of with World War II, with the bombings and air raids and things like that. The impact sort of in the cities was really about just the absence of men, because pretty much anyone 18 to 50 was conscripted in some way. So most of our works depict soldiers going off to war. They sort of depict them marching, and then they also depict individual soldiers, not necessarily portraits, but just sort of watching them come home or being decorated by a general or those kinds of things. It's more about the lives of the ordinary soldier, and as well as the refugees I would say are the primary subjects of the works on the exhibition. This exhibition will be on view through July 31st at the Zimmerli Art Museum, which is located in New Brunswick on the College Avenue campus of Rutgers University on the corner of George Street and Hamilton Streets. For more information, please visit our website, www.zimmerlimuseum.rutgers.edu, or call 848-932-7237. The museum is open Tuesday through Friday from 10 to 4:30 p.m., Saturdays and Sundays from 12 to 5, and the first Sunday of every month is free. So for you history buffs out there who are excited about all of the commemorative activities for the 100th anniversary of the Great War, please come and see this exhibition at the Zimmerli.